Is it a pandemic or is it just politics? That's a big question that we need to be asking ourselves right now, and I feel like the left is doing its absolute best to answer that question for us on a daily basis. One example after another keeps popping up that shows us that they're not actually scared of this virus. They're not actually worried about it. Really, what it boils down to is a way for them to try to control the populace, to try and exact some sort of grip on the people, on we the people. And it's becoming increasingly obvious that it's over. It's over. We need to stop worrying about this so much. We need to get back to living our lives. We need to stop trying to shove this or that down each other's throats in order to make us safer. We're never safe. We've never been safe. Stepping outside of your front door and just that alone, getting out of your bed elevates your chances that something bad is going to happen to you by leaps and bounds. But it doesn't stop us from actually living our lives. And yet it seems to me that many people out there would like for this virus to continue to keep us under its thumb in perpetuity. But is it the virus's thumb or somebody else's thumb? Is it a way to actually save people from a sickness, or is it just a way to control people? Is it a way to differentiate us from them? Increasingly, the answer to that is yes, it is about control. It is about political division. And I'll give you a couple stories. This one that you might have seen it recently. The new discrimination. Candace Owens is refused service from a COVID testing facility for being conservative. I really wish that this was not really I wish I was being hyperbolic right now, but I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and read this story to you. Just decades ago, Candace Owens might have been turned away from an establishment for being black. Now, she's being turned away because she's conservative. The Daily Wire commentator tweeted to her followers on Wednesday that she'd been refused service from a COVID testing facility because she's a conservative. Holy crap, I just received an email from a COVID testing facility that they are refusing to administer a test to me because they don't like my politics. Insane. I'm banned from making sure I don't accidentally spread COVID? Going live with an email on Instagram in 10 minutes. She released the email. Let me go ahead and just read you this email. It's from a woman named Susanna. Susanna works at a clinic that does COVID testing. It's a private clinic. She writes to Candace, I've just learned of this testing request, and as the owner of this business, I'm going to refuse this booking and deny service. We cannot support anyone who has proactively worked to make this pandemic worse by spreading misinformation, politicizing, and discouraging the wearing of masks and actively dissuading people from receiving life-saving vaccinations. The only other local testing option is the free kiosk by City Hall. They mail their tests to Texas and have inconsistent result times. Do not take appointments, so it's walk-in only midday weekdays in their back alley. My team and myself have worked overtime to exhaustion, unpaid and underpaid this past year, spreading our own capital to ensure that our communities remain protected. It would be unfair to them and to the sacrifices we have all made this year to serve you. So, first off, let me go ahead and clarify this. It's a private business. It is my opinion that as a private business, they should be able to turn away whoever they want, okay? But that said, do they actually care about the virus? Do they actually care about spreading COVID? Do they actually fear a pandemic? Doesn't seem to me that they do, because if they did, they would not care about politics. They wouldn't care what you believe. Their primary concern would be to make sure that you know that you are in a position where you could spread this virus around by administering and analyzing the test. They refused to do it because Candace Owens is a conservative. And I want to point out that she pretty much just eliminates any kind of sympathy she might have generated for herself or her coworkers in this email. She goes on in this email about how they worked so hard and tirelessly to the point of exhaustion to make sure that this pandemic stays under control. And yet they don't want to give Candace Owens a test. They don't want to make sure that it's done accurately and correctly to make sure that she's not spreading this virus around. Do you think that they actually care? Because I don't. It's pretty clear that they don't. They're not afraid of this virus. If they were, they would have actually administered the test, but they are not, so they didn't. Is it a pandemic or is it political? That's something we have to think about. I want to point something else out here. The ACLU performs mental gymnastics in support of vaccine mandates. Let's go ahead and dive in here. Freedom is slavery is no longer a phrase you'll just find in George Orwell's 1984, used by the despotic government in the novel. While the American Civil Liberties Union didn't say that phrase directly, it took the exact meaning and made it their own in the latest tweet supporting vaccine mandates. The ACLU tweeted on Thursday that vaccine mandates actually make people freer because it protects all the people you'd become a public pariah for not caring about, including minority communities, children, and people who are disabled. Far from compromising them, vaccine mandates actually further civil liberties. They protect the most vulnerable people with disabilities and fragile immune systems, children too young to be vaccinated, and communities of color hit hard by the disease. That's what the ACLU tweeted. It continued piling it on by saying it would protect teachers and healthcare professionals. They finished by saying that all our basic civil liberties will be restored if, and only if, we force needles into people's arms and inject them with chemicals they may not want. It's pretty obvious that there is no freedom in being forced to have injections of anything into your body, whether it's a vaccine or grape juice. Freedom is the ability to choose what you want to do with yourself for good or ill, and it would be a violation of your civil liberties to be told you have to get the shot or suffer consequences of any kind. The ACLU, an organization that once would have raised 8 kinds of hell over the suggestion that people should have to suffer this kind of violation, is now suggesting that not only should you be forced to get the vaccine, but that not doing so makes you morally reprehensible. You're now a person who not only doesn't care about the children are actually not very affected by the COVID virus, believe it or not, according to science, but that you're a racist, you hate the disabled, and think our medical professionals aren't important. Let's take a step back for a second and look at this vaccine. The vaccine is not 100% guaranteed to keep you free of the virus. You can still get the virus. You can still transmit the virus to people. Does it affect you as much? No. Pretty much the vaccine, what it's there for is to make sure that whenever you get COVID, you don't suffer the effects half as much as you would beforehand. That's really what it boils down to. You can still transmit, you can still get. And this Delta variant, it's highly transmissible. Because that's what viruses do. They become more transmissible but less deadly as time goes on. We probably live with a million bugs that we don't know about because we don't register them anymore. And that's nature. That's part of nature. So this vaccine isn't everything. We also know that the masks really don't help, to be honest with you. You can wear those little cloth masks and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's not going to stop a minuscule, tiny little virus from getting through it and infecting you. Masks are, unless you have an N95 or some kind of rebreather, you're probably not going to stop that virus from getting through your masks and into your body. It's illogical to think that a piece of paper or cloth can stop a very virulent virus from entering your body. We only wear them because it makes us feel better. That's really what it boils down to. We know that now. The fact that many people still believe in masks and that it's a good way to stop the virus says a lot about how easily we are manipulated by our own media. So this virus isn't everything. And yet, the ACLU still seems to want to force people, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, okay, the people who would used to, if you went back, they would defend neo-Nazis, okay, for their right to speak. I'm not saying that neo-Nazis are good at all. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just saying that the ACLU is a used to be a major proponent of freedom. Now they're saying we should be able to, they should be able, the government should be able to force us to get injections into our body. Now, folks, if the vaccine ain't all that, why did we need to be forced to take this vaccine? What's with the force? What's with all the force? People, they're not afraid of the vaccine. Or I'm sorry, they're not afraid of the virus. The vaccine is not 100% guaranteed to help you. With all this in mind, what does this boil down to when we really think about it? What is really the goal here? It's something that we need to ask ourselves. Every person who is scared or quote unquote scared of this virus or wants to take this virus seriously seems to want to exact some sort of control over people. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I can find patterns easily and point them out to people. And this is one of those patterns that you have to look at here. We have a vaccine and a virus that is, to be honest with you, is at a point of take it or leave it. It's not going to kill you if you do. It's not going to kill you if you don't. Yet we're acting like it's the end of the world. And the end of the world, here at the end of the world, we need to be able to say, oh, I need to obey in order to survive. Isn't that funny how it's always we need to obey them in order for us to survive? And this is where we are again. Folks, this vaccine, this virus, it's not anything we need to be concerned about in any great way. We could, if the media shut up about everything tomorrow, be it COVID, be it vaccines, be it masks, and we would all forget about it. Will people still get sick? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Whenever the flu comes around, we get news people talking about, hey, it's flu season. Be careful. Wash your hands. Well, folks, it's the same thing about COVID. COVID comes in, COVID comes out. And it's become less deadly than it used to be with the alpha version. Do not let the media scare you. If you want to go get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. It's perfectly fine. No one's saying that you shouldn't. No one's saying that you can't. Well, people are saying you shouldn't. But I'm saying do not allow other people to make that decision for you. You do what you want to do. If it's right for you, go get it. If you don't want it, don't have it. But let's not buy in anymore to this idea that this virus is the end of us, that we're all going to die, because we're not. This panic, the sky is falling chicken little nonsense has got to end. It's ruining lives. It's actually that panic is actually ruining lives. And we need to put it away. The sooner the better. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.